Yes. Yes. Welcome, folks. This is our hour with Etzion. It is March 1st, and we have decided we're meeting from 12:30 to at least 1:30, maybe a little more. All right, it's documented. So over to you, Etzion.
Okay.
We were talking about sanskaras. That was kind of interesting. Maybe you
And we talked about why the book, the translation of Meher Baba on war didn't get published in Hebrew.
It was published eventually.
Oh, it was. Oh,
Yeah. Okay, actually, I didn't know what we are going to do this evening, but I was thinking also to present you what I was doing for Baba all these years. So here it is. It's a
Oh, wow.
pile of books.
Can you show us each cover? Can you show
Sorry?
us? Can you show us each one cover? The cover, all right.
Yeah.
Oh, but it's in Hebrew. Of
That's
course.
all in Hebrew. This is the very first book which was published in Israel, 1964, by Kerry Ben Shammai.
Wow.
She sent a copy to Baba. This little book, a few discourses, won first prize in a book fair in Jerusalem. Baba was very pleased. He signed a copy and sent it back to Kerry.
Now,
And
did you
this
have
book,
anything, Etzion, did you have anything to do with that book or not? Or was it
no,
before?
I came to Baba 72.
Okay,
This is
all
from
right.
62.
Okay.
Then the first book I published was a story of Ali. After Sobs and Throps, this is a little booklet, which Michal showed you that this, she found it and this brought her to Baba, this little booklet and a few other people. Later on, when I came back from Mirabad, I told you the money didn't like, first thing I translated Meher Baba on war, my money told me they doesn't like me to start book on wars, and I didn't say a word. I went to Baba's Samadhi and I started to write, and this what came. It's on my website, this little booklet. I called it The Story of Mankind.
Did Mani say why she did not want you to publish? She didn't
I
like
didn't ask questions. I learned, I just do what you need to do. And I went to the Samadhi and I started to write in Hebrew. And this came little booklet. It's both sides, one side Hebrew, one side English. It's on my website.
And it's the story of mankind?
I call it The Story of Mankind. It's on my website. You can find it on the English section, and this and other articles I wrote. I started to write and I was writing whatever crossed my mind. I don't know if you can read it from here.
Yeah.
Okay. The important thing here, I think, I made a little sketch, which when we'll, if you will decide to speak about sanskaras, I wanted to present it. I wrote this book during 1983. This little sketch is so different. Never mind. Here it is. I made this kind of drawings. You will find it on the website.
Oh, okay.
I called it the cosmic engine. It's a kind of a simplification of Baba's explanations in God Speaks. In one picture, you can see the whole story of the creation. It's simply, that's the way it crossed my mind while I was there working on this booklet. It was actually this booklet was a rehearsal for the actual work on the Hebrew discourses. Everything was the size, the font, everything was, and the last rehearsal exercise how to do Baba's work for the discourses. But before the discourses, I published all kinds of little booklets. And this one with the 6 discourses of the sanskaras and the ego. This is Follow Love by Elizabeth Patterson. This is the discourses Sparks.
Oh, my goodness, you got that one too.
Yeah, and this is the little book of Dotless Nick Merwan, Stories of Meher Baba for Children. This is a homemade print. And another homemade print is the silent, Much Silence by Tom and Dorothy Hopkinson. It was also a homemade print. Not so great,
Homemade.
but
What is homemade print? You mean, what does that mean, homemade?
on my home printer.
A printer, okay.
On my printer, I didn't publish. I stopped publishing books because people are not buying it. They don't want to share. So I made a few such things. This is also a booklet, homemade print by the printer. These are the warnings of Avatar Meher Baba concerning the occult by Arnavaz.
Wait, concerning the what?
The
Occult.
occult.
Oh, the occult. Oh, okay.
Warning of Meher Baba concerning the occult. She was interviewed with, what's her name? I didn't write it here. Never mind. She was interviewed by Barbara something. This is a book, I translated the book of Sai Baba, The Perfect Master.
Oh.
This is, I published a memorial for the person from the Anthroposophical Society through whom I came to Meher Baba.
Is this his life story?
Yes. I did it for the Anthroposophical Society, and he had, I think he was enlightened human being. He was an advanced soul, very special. It made a special mark on me. It was very unique. This is the silent teachings of Meher Baba by Ramju. This is, I showed you the Follow Love, and this is the little one on love. And these are the Hebrew discourses. Michal showed you the book already. So that's what I did so far. And
you did Upasni stuff too.
The Upasni,
Translation.
I didn't translate it. It's
copy. You copied the English.
No, I turned
from the little 6 discourse books.
What I did was I scanned the books and I placed it on my website as the PDF documents, so the public can read it. This is what I did. The Sakuri Ashram knew about this, of course. Maybe this only place as talks of Upasnis are online. Maybe there are more places, but I don't know. It used to be the only place. And they kept on the Sakuri Ashram. They have all kinds of problems, but leave it alone. It's none of our business what they are doing. So this is what I was doing. Now what happened? There must be always a Baba story, this little booklet of Keri Ben Shammai. Baba signed it and sent it back to Israel before she left Jerusalem in 1980. And she gave me her center or the library, whatever you call it. We both were looking for the book that Baba signed, because Baba's signature, for me, in my understanding, is the closest thing of his being. This is his handwriting. What he put it, it's directly something which coming direct from him.
Right.
We preserve his personal clothes, sandals, whatever the sadra, but his signature was the closest thing to his being. So it was a big loss. And what happened? I thought it was a big loss. But when I finished the translation of the discourse 1991, I looked at the library which Kerry gave me, and I picked this book, Stay with God. I just picked it out, the first book. I was thinking, well, because I got the mood to keep on translating. And so I said to myself, well, look at this book. Well, Stay with God. I never read it before. It might be interesting. So I'm opening the book and see what I found in the book.
Wow.
Oh, my goodness.
Wow.
This is Baba's signature, M.S. Sirani. A real signature. It's not a photocopy. He signed maybe 100 or 200 books of Stay with God. And it came to Kerry. It was distributed to him. So it was a big treasure for us to have his. And we have a few more personal items of Baba, like his hair and a piece of the cloth which covered his body in the crypt after he passed away. Because they cut it to the shroud, they cut it to small pieces and distributed it all over the centers in the world. And this is what I understood. So we have this relic as well. So it's nice to have. This is as per Baba's work, what I was doing over the years. From, as I said, one of the sessions before, 91, I thought there was another meditation group came, was very active, went to Meirabad. I used to go to Meirabad many times, and we got together. But it was running under the direction of one mystic from England, David Cousins, and he had his own agent in Israel. And I was not too much interested in becoming her disciple, so we broke apart from 2002 onwards. We have no communication whatsoever. But Baba has his own ways. He's pulling his strings here and there. 94, 95, more or less at that time, that I got acquainted with this group. There was a blind man in living next to Tel Aviv, and he wanted to have Baba meetings at his home. He found presumably a book or books of mine in the library, and he was interested with spirituality, and he wanted to know all the masters who ever influencing humankind during the 20th century, before 19th, 20th century. So he used to have meetings at his home for a year, for at least a year, maybe a couple of years, and kept on visiting him from time to time. He used to have a Baba library at home. He was completely blind, but he has Baba books, and he used to. Baba presumably gave him some experience. So he knew that Meir Baba is avatar. He was deeply connected, and also our Michal used to visit him, etc. What happened during 1999 or 2000? I was approached by the Theosophical Society. If you heard about them, Madame Blavatsky, who wrote the Secret Doctrine in 1880 something. She's being regarded as the grandmother of the New Age. She was the first person in the world to introduce spirituality to the masses, not only as closed, tight circles like the Freemasons and the Rosicrucians. There are all kinds of secret societies that don't like to walk in the public. So I was approached by the Theosophical Society of Tel Aviv, and they asked me if I'm willing to translate the secret doctrine of Blavatsky into Hebrew. Not the whole book, but the abridgment. The whole book is 1,400 pages, and this one was 250 or 270. Since I was acquainted with Rudolf Steiner from the anthroposophy, he broke apart from them over the issue of Krishnamurti. He didn't accept Krishnamurti as a world teacher. And he didn't know anything about Meir Baba either, Rudolf Steiner. And he said the avatar is not going to come in the flesh again. He came once as Jesus and he will not come again. That's what he said. And I found it during the years that to speak with anthroposophical people about Meir Baba, it means that actually they show me the door out. They're not willing even to look at what he said. Here and there, during the meetings, from time I would say something and ask, from where did you get it? From where did you get it? But I realized I cannot say, because in the beginning, I was honest. I say, Meir Baba said it. But then as soon as I said Meir Baba, and in Indian mystics, they don't accept anyone from the East, even most of the teachings of Steiner and Theosophy based on the East. Never mind, it's not a big deal.
Why was that? Why did they not be curious?
I don't know. I cannot enter the mentality of the people. There are Rudolf Steiner didn't establish any religion. He said it is for you to check what I'm saying, if it's true or not. But the people, they tend to make a religion from the spiritual masters. Also, some of us have been trying to do it, but not successfully, hopefully. And so far, there's no religion, no Baba religion. Thank heavens. I trust it never will. This always brings the end of the Advent. So since I was not sure about this, I consulted Don Stevens. I used to work closely with Don Stevens over the translation of the Baba books in Hebrew, because he was in charge of foreign translations, publications of trust material. So I asked him what he thinks about the secret doctrine of Blavatsky, and he gave me the go-ahead blessing. So I did it. But this was an extremely difficult project, and it took me about 7 years. And during the 7th year, I needed to have a close communication with the Theosophists. They used to invited me to their meetings. They were interested with the teachings of Meir Baba. They published the discourses on the ego and sanskars, these six discourses which I have translated into English. It was published in their periodical, with a monthly paper or something like this. And invited me from time to time to give talks on Meir Baba and spirituality from my understanding. And after the 7th year, they wanted to come to visit Meir Baba. They had a tour of spiritual places in India. The headquarters of the Theosophical Society are in Adyar. It's in the southern part of India. So they made a tour all over India with a group of spiritual people, and they wanted to visit Meherabad. I didn't invite them to Meherabad. They told me, "You're interested to visit the place." So they came to Meherabad, 7 or 8 of them. At that time, he still stayed in the PC in Lower Meherabad. So I was trying to unfold them, but I didn't try to convince them about anything. None of them entered the samadhis. They came to the arti time, they came to the samadhi. And you remember, as I told you in the beginning, that when I came to Baba Room in 79, I didn't understand what's going on with the people who are bowing to a chair and kissing a pillow. Till Meir came rushing to me and they gave me an order to take Baba's darshan. So they didn't enter the samadhi, to my astonishment. That's a big... but I didn't say anything to them. They were looked astonished and puzzled at what's going on. People crawling to his tomb and kissing the slabs and all this. To come so far, once in lifetime, to the samadhi of a perfect master, and not to enter to the samadhi, which is actually very beneficial because it takes your sanskaras away. So they didn't do it. So I didn't do it. I didn't say anything. And our relations actually faded away after that, more or less. The relations, we broke apart, actually. We used to have a good time. We used to come to their meetings. Also, Michal came with me a couple of times. He was selling Baba books, etc. Here and there, I kept on meeting them. They were more open-minded. They were interested with other spiritual masters, and they invited me a few times to give talks about Meher Baba. But this also came to an end. But here and there, I kept communication with one or two of them. It so happens I was invited tomorrow morning to their meetings not far from here, half an hour drive south. Invited me to a meeting. I spoke with one of them, said, why don't you come? We have some gathering, some seminar. So I'll go see them tomorrow morning. It might be nice. So this is our life. We are doing whatever we are doing. You want to discuss a little bit the problem of sanskars?
Sure.
This is a key thing, I think.
Sure, let's, yeah.
Spoke about this before, and I don't mind to keep on saying it again and again, how it came to be, because when Baba came to me in 1972, after I was sent by one of the members of the anthroposophical people. This was the head group. He was giving the meetings in Tel Aviv in the early 70s. After 6 months, I attended the meetings, which I didn't understand a word. It's like studying Chinese, studying in a new language. But one of the participants enfolded me, and after the meetings, we used to go and we used to discuss the issues for many hours till late at night. And this helped me a lot to understand some basics in spirituality. But it's basically intellectual stuff. And you have to do your internal work till you will experience spirit world. And after 6 months, this person told me that there is a woman in Jerusalem I should meet. And this was later on when I came to see her. It was Kerry Ben Shama, and as soon as I entered the Baba room, I saw Baba's picture, which is just behind me. I put it here. And then I became instantaneously Baba realized. I knew who he is. I knew his eyes of the eyes, avatar of the age. Whatever name you call him, I just knew everything which I needed to know. And then shortly, a few weeks after that, I surrendered to his will. I wished to do some work for him according to whatsoever I can. And due to presumably to the nature of my resignation, it was not only this, I felt inclined to take some spiritual responsibilities that I will not become another burden on him, but I will reach some, eventually, I was hoping to reach some spiritual maturity, so I will not be dependent on him. So he will be freed for me, more or less, which of course cannot be, but you understand what I'm trying to say. And more than this, I was willing to take some of his burden on me. And of course, I didn't have a clue about what I was thinking, but it was very innocent and very, in a way, childlike attitude towards this magnificent being, which I was more worried about him than myself. I felt he has to carry all this tremendous burden of the entire universe. I saw him as a being who holds the entire universe on his shoulders. So I wanted to ease up his burden. As somebody who was just even not a beginner in spirituality. And what I'm sharing with you now, my humble understanding about the spirituality, I didn't have a clue whatsoever at that time. It was 51 years ago. I didn't know anything. And all that I know is during my experiences living with Baba. So this is what I'm sharing. So the first experience, I told it in, I think, the first session I told it in the past a few times, that there was one person I used to give him a hard time, I abused him, and presumably Baba picked up this particular sanskara, magnified it 1,000 times, and the whole thing started to burn inside my mental apparatus. My head was on a flame. It was really burning. It was a real heat. And it kept on increasing and increasing, and this was going on for 3 weeks. I didn't know what to do with it because I realized I made a terrible thing. It caused a serious insult to hurt a person, and I didn't know how can I heal this thing? How can I cannot go backwards, what to do? I was totally confused, and I was totally lost about the whole thing. And the whole issue kept on, the fire was growing stronger and stronger. And now what happened after 3 weeks, I was traveling from Jerusalem to my hometown, which is north of Tel Aviv. It's like 2 hours drive from Jerusalem. We have to change a few buses. So from Tel Aviv, there is my hometown where I was born. I lived when I was a child. It's called Ra'anana, north 15, 16 kilometers north of Tel Aviv. And before that, there is another city, a bigger city actually, by the name of Herzliya, after the visionary of Zionism, Herzl. And I got off at Herzliya. I was planning to get off Herzliya and to take the next bus to Ra'anana, where I live. And as soon as I got to Herzliya and I got off the bus, as soon as the door opened, I saw this boy sitting on a bench and looking straight into my eyes. Now, it was 10:30 in the evening. This was not his station. This was not his place. He was a son of one of the richest families in Israel, and that's why we used to hurt him. He was our companion in the army. We served together in the Israeli army. The Israeli army where I served was a very, very tough place and very rough and abusive. That was the training we got. And it was unbelievable because I'm getting off the bus and straight to him. The door opened. He was not a half a meter to the right, but half a meter to the left, straight. As soon as the door opened, I saw him sitting there I still see this picture. And then we sitting together and chatting for 10, 15 minutes till my oncoming bus came. And then we parted with peace, and the whole issue disappeared. All this fire in my mind was off right away.
Did you apologize? Did you talk about the incident?
No.
No.
We just no. We didn't apologize. Didn't do anything. I didn't do
Oh.
anything. First, I was so stunned, and I was bewildered totally. I didn't know what to do with this. We were just sitting together like two friends and having a good time for 10 to 15 minutes. And what was it? The Baba simply wiped off this particular sanskar. I just removed it and it's gone, never to come back. Finished. And then, but I didn't know that I was dealing with sanskars. I didn't have a clue about anything. You understand? I didn't read any of the material. It was 72. And I started to read a little bit here and there, small pamphlet Kerry gave me, and my English was very humble. It was just the beginning of English. And I had to actually read it with a dictionary, translate basic words, which I didn't know. So slowly I studied English. So I couldn't read all the material till later on. But during the 7 years which passed, I studied English pretty good. And all these 7 years, more and more work was happening concerning the removal of sanskars, which he was doing, which I cannot do because only he can remove sanskars. And presumably he was doing it according to the nature of my resignation. I don't see any other way because I don't know what's happening with other people of the community. But what the little I understand in this community, what I read and hear sometimes comments of people about world events, as they don't understand the problem of sanskars, and they're getting involved where they're not supposed to get involved. This is one of the reasons I wanted to initiate these meetings. So we'll stay away from all these bindings and scars, which is the worst are getting involved, criticizing politicians, criticizing why there's so much suffering in the world, because our limited understanding is too small. We cannot understand what is behind the veil, why people are suffering so much, why there are so many troubles in the world. So the best thing is, as the Baba kept on telling us, just focus on me and forget this world. But I had to take another step. From 76 onwards, I got involved. In those days, I used to get upset and mad quite easily. I would get hurt if the people could say something, and I would be insulted. I was just an ordinary human without any spiritual training whatsoever. So from 76 onwards, I started under the directive of Baba, because his presence was almost physical those days. I had to deal with all kinds of complicated and difficult issues. But from 76 onwards, he started, for whatever reason, to give me personal tutoring how to erase sanskars. Still, I didn't know the word sanskars, of course. 76, I knew it only from 83, 84, 82, 83, 84. I started to read the discourses in English. I read it many times because I was instructed by Kerry Ben Shammai to translate it into Hebrew, excuse me. And of course, I had to study the issue of sanskars. Then it was the first time while reading the discourses, I understood this expression and the problem of the sanskars, which Baba describes magnificently well. These are basics each one of us should or even must assimilate. It's very important for us. They save us a lot of troubles in our earthly existence and onward in our onward march. It's really crucial to my understanding. So the way I was instructed to work on sanskaras, I had to unfold whatsoever situation came up in my mind. Let's say father, mother, and came from not an easy family. We Holocaust survivors, and the situation was not easy at all to be born, and the conflicts around us and the constant wars that the Arabs declared on Israel and the Jews. This is not what I was thinking to present, but Arabs declared a war against the Jews and Christianity 59 years ago. That was the will of Muhammad to fight against Jews and Christians in particular. He gave this, it is part of his will. So they say this is a tradition of Islam. If he really said such things or not, we don't know. I think they twisted these words. This is a long, difficult issue. I don't know if you want to get involved with this now. We need a special session just on the problems of Islam in the world. It's a very big problem. And they are not willing to give any land, any sovereignty to any group of non-Muslims whatsoever. Definitely not on Muslim grounds. And Israel today, has been a Muslim ground the past 59 years. And we either become Muslims or second-class citizens. I don't want to continue more than this. So we lived in all this heavy environment, heavy feelings. We live not far from the border, and often we heard the gunshots and non-stop. If you saw the borders of Israel before 67, it was such a small country. How the country survived all these years is a miracle. It doesn't make sense. Because the Arabs are 100,000 times, 10,000 times bigger than this little Israel. So that is for sure. So the whole situation, everything was very hard, very difficult, very emotional, very hard life. So what I had to do is to give the circumstance, whatsoever was it, to Baba. So I had to give it to him, whatsoever I was dealing with, and he would take care of it. And I had to keep on working on it as many times a day as needed. Each time the feeling, the picture, or whatever that was came to my mind, I had to, as if to put it in an envelope or mail it to him. And I had to do it many times a day. And this is work. Till the situation would disappear. This would take some time. Sometimes it would take days. Sometimes it would take years. And I keep on working on this all the time. And eventually, each time while I was working, it would give me insights. This is the main issue, to come to the situations that don't feel any grudges, any hatred whatsoever against anyone. And I spoke about our last time on Tuesday, one of the sessions before, that to love as he does, it's not humane, and I don't claim to love as he does, but not to hate and not to keep any grudges. This weekend, we can do this. And this is a beginning of entering the sphere of love. And one of the insights I received from him, after many years of work, more than 20, 25 years, this is work. It's not so an easy work, but it needs to be done. If you want to be free, it's up to us. That if you don't keep any grudges whatsoever against any person, then we are capable of entering the sphere of perfect love. This is his sphere in the spiritual planes, and stay with him till the rest of eternity. This is his gift for humanity. And if you're getting involved with all kinds of complications in this world, you get mental and emotional problems with other humans, we will miss the opportunity. This is what I understood. Now, I'm not doing this work in order to be in his sphere of perfect love for good. I'm doing it because I'm doing it. The thought of I will have a reward for this is not in my mind at all. You see, I understood this insight only many, many years later, after I was established more or less automatically in this work. And this is very important. The people of this community will share and practice this. We learned in my website, you will see I wrote a small article about this. Heart-rate maintenance, it's on my website, meirbabaisrael.com, and other articles, basic things which I offer the community. Anybody wants to say something? Okay.
Well, quick question. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
One of your sessions, were you talking about the circles and the circles of the avatar and going
Yes.
back into time
Yes,
of the Israeli history and that sort of thing?
yes,
That sounded very, very interesting, but
okay,
I have no, I haven't put that together myself, certainly that understanding,
okay,
but that theme,
yes. You want me to,
well, I don't know if other people want, or, I mean,
I like it. I agree. I like that. Going back
okay,
to, you even
yes.
went back to Adam. Did you not start with Adam and come forward?
I'm sorry, dear, I didn't hear you.
I think you started with Adam, right? The first is
The first avatar.
Avatar, yeah. Uh-huh.
It is interesting that in this book of mine, which shows the story of mankind, and the Baba picture, I wrote Adam. I wrote Adam. I was writing this book. It was 83. And I was wondering to myself, now it took me a whole year to work on this book. It was a big push for my English command. Sorry. I was wondering to myself, where is Avatar mentioned in the Hebrew Bible, in Genesis? So I was wondering about the phrase, let us make man in our image after our likeness. And the hint came to me, this is the first avatar. Who is the avatar? Is a reflection of God in human form. So I said, I wanted to put Baba's picture in the book, but Baba didn't belong to this book in a sense. To write it down Meir Baba, it's kind of putting the two dishes to which don't belong to each other. So I had to find. I was thinking, what is the name of the avatar which belongs to the Hebrew Bible? And this is Adam. So under his picture, I wrote Adam. And I published it this way, and I sent it to Meira. And Meira got a kick from that I called him Adam, Meir Baba. She responded. It's one of my letters. You can see her letters to me on my website as well. And a few months after I published this book, came the book of Baoji. I think the Everything and the Nothing, or one of his important books, or the Mischievous Chicken. I have the book buried somewhere. It's on Trust website. And there Bauji said, this is the first avatar is Adam. And I got a confirmation for my hint. It was very nice. Now, the whole problem, Baba is speaking in the discourses and God speaks, I think, also on the spiritual circles. We know the mandali, and each master has his own circle of usually 12 disciples, usually male and sometimes females. And the numbers are, they come and go. We know the 12 disciples of Jesus as the 12 tribes of Israel under the guidance of Moses. And to my understanding, and I have been writing a book on I wrote an interpretation of the books of Genesis and Exodus in the light of Meir Baba's explanations. And it gives the books a totally different view of the ordinary reading. Because you cannot cannot translate the Hebrew Bible into other languages. It's not possible. For whatever reason, I can explain it and can get into it. But the problem of humanity, what I was explaining as a state of the Garden of Eden, can be compared to a musical band. The musical band, we have all the participants. Each one must be qualified in his instrument. He has to learn the music, and he has to obey the orders of the conductor or conductors, according to the situation. Otherwise, there is no music. And if one of the musicians during a concert will decide to play his own tune, something totally different, because he thinks this will be better, then he will destroy the entire music because the vibrations will destroy each other. We know what's happening if you study music, participate in musical band, and see somebody's playing off note, or somebody plays something totally different, or you listen to music and in the other room, somebody listens to a different kind of music. When these two waves collide against each other, it's becoming chaotic. So what happened in the Garden of Eden is that we broke the spiritual circles, the harmony of humanity, and we started to play our own tune, and that's the way the world looks like this. We told the big conductor, which is the Lord of the universe, that we will run our own show by ourselves, and we don't need him. We sent him away from this realm. That's the way it looks, unfortunately. This is what we did. So each master who comes again and again, trying to teach a group of people to work together with harmony. Baba used to put impossible people together in one room, so they will learn how to deal with the opposite personalities. This was extremely hard, and many of the disciples, many of the mandali failed. It was sometimes it was impossible, and very hard training, very hard training. The mandali had to undergo. But what it is, after all the mandali passed away, there is nobody who gives spiritual meetings or discourses any longer for the public. The last ones we used to get from Bauji, and after he passed away, almost nothing. A little bit came from the Murshida, she gave talks, and here and there somebody would give a talk, like Irwin Lack now giving his talks about his experiences with Baba. but it is less and less, unfortunately. We forgot the art of cooperation, which is basic to create spiritual energy. When we create spiritual energy, just the same as musical band, why you enjoy the music? Because spiritual energy is being created on earth. We go to a concert, it gives us a deep impression, experience some of the divine in this one. But to come back to it, we have to get together and do some coordinated work together. Even this small, humble meeting, this little group, we are a spiritual circle in a sense. Few people get together, focus on the divine beloved, and we share together. We are not shouting and screaming at each other like our parliament or wherever you have a group of people and start arguing and shouting at each other, which is usually the case. Just have to open the TV. There are discussion groups about this and that, and they break into each other while they're speaking. They don't know how to work with concord. They don't know how to work with harmony. This is a sad state of humanity. And because we don't know how to do this work, more and more on natural sanskars, binding sanskars are being formed in the world, and the world is only getting worse and worse. It's not getting better, because there are more and more people who come and they're ignorant and they see the purpose of the world is the fulfillment of basic desires, uh, which is like a survival of eating and having sex and fulfilling our desires. This is not the purpose of creation. This is a byproduct of the creation. So the entanglements of humanity are getting only worse. And we don't see any change. Even Baba said he will break his silence, manifest. We don't see any of these signs. We don't know what it's going to be. If it'll continue like this, quite obvious, doesn't look good for humanity. Doesn't look good because there's no spiritual government to direct, advise the movements of humanity. There's no one single political figure in the world who has any spiritual understanding whatsoever. Nobody understands anything. It's all about power play and interests. They don't ever really understand. There's no one leader in the world who has spiritual understanding. It's very unfortunate. There are spiritual people with spiritual understanding, but they are not leading humanity. You want to say something?
Yeah, I think where there's hope is the wonderful. It's springing up in particularly the young people. They're it's the new humanity. It's there. I don't think it's so dismal.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm not pessimistic, so and no optimistic. I just do my work. I'm just
Yeah.
say that I don't see this is a reason for the conflict here in the Middle East, which exists already for hundreds of years. It's nothing new what's going on here. The people so all over the world are fighting with each other non-stop. It's everywhere. Since recorded history, we are fighting with each other. We don't achieve anything. We were hoping that we'll come to some mutual understanding, we'll get some world tranquility, we'll start to respect each other, but as we see it, various issues of the world, it's not really happening, unfortunately. But who knows? Maybe there will be a change. We do our work. We do our internal work. We center on the beloved, and we leave the results to him. I never get into bad moods because we are at war. We are at war for 100 years. The Arabs declared the war on the Jews 100 years ago. It's not. It's not after 48 or 67. If they tell you this, it's not true. They declared war against the non-Muslims. It's a long story. If you want to deal with this, we can deal with this. So it's not an easy.
Did Baba ever speak to you directly about the karma of the Jews and the last 1,000 years of persecution?
If Baba spoke directly about the Jews, he said that Moses was a true master of the sixth plan. He said the Exodus was a true story, indeed happened as it was portrayed in Genesis.
No, I was wondering if Baba spoke about the karma of the Jews, how they have lived under persecution for thousands of years.
The karma of the Jewish people is really the karma of the world is falling on the heads of the Jews, but not only on the Jews. Don't forget almost the entire Zoroastrian nation, 15 million people were exterminated by Islam. Only 200,000 remained.
No, I realize that, Etzion. At any given time, there are several efforts at genocide going on this planet.
Yes.
We still exist in that sphere. But I was born in a Jewish family, so I have a little bit of that feeling that I carry in me. What I see is that many times when something goes wrong with the world in terms of like economic disasters or natural whatever, any kind of problems, the whispering starts that it's the Jews' fault. So they seem to be like, that's exactly what I'm saying when I say karma, that they are the universal scapegoat for problems, even though they may have nothing to do with it. And how did that karma come about? One thing I heard that was really kind of a stunning thing for me to hear was that somebody quoted Baba when they were saying to Baba how terrible World War II was and the awful atrocities and the innocent people that got killed. And Baba was quoted as softly saying, maybe not so innocent.
Oh my. Oh.
And it made me really wonder, what is our karmic, what is the karmic background to all this? Because that is the one immutable law, Baba says, that never falters. So I wonder if he addressed that to you.
If you want me to tell you my experience?
Yeah, of course. Whatever you want to share, yeah.
I can tell you my personal insights about all this. It is possible that, excuse me, the Jewish people or the ancient Hebrews or the children of Israel received one of the biggest tasks of redeeming humanity which ever tried in the past 10,000 years. It never was tried. All the masters have been working on a small scale of disciples. Even Baba, the maximum disciples he had, a few dozens, 30, 40. How many went to the New Life Adventure? 34. From 100,000, few hundreds of thousands learned about him, very few managed to walk with him. And here, Lord Abraham, the avatar, initiated the two peoples of the Jewish people and the Arabic people. He measured these two nations 3,500 years ago. The whole of the Jewish people were to resurrect the role of the spiritual people on earth, to create a spiritual government for humanity, to redirect its movements, and to lessen the suffering of humanity. And this we have failed. And the Bible is, Genesis speaks about this. The people, after hundreds of years of training, especially as slaves in Egypt, they failed to follow Master Moses. Even the spiritual hierarchy, the Godhead, they witness the power of the Godhead with the plagues of Egypt and all the miracles which happened after that. They realize that whatsoever Master Moses is saying is coming true, and they still didn't believe him. And then he goes all the way up to Mount Sinai to bring the Torah, which is how to call it? The Torah is a guide for the spiritual training. And the whole work of Moses and his masters had to reinstate the spiritual circles through the 12 tribes. 12 tribes against the 12 basic tones of music to recreate the musical orchestra on earth. And there is a directive of Master Moses. And he goes to get together with the Lord, which is Avatar, is Lord Abraham, presumably at that time. Doesn't matter the name. And together with writing the script for redeeming humanity. So when Moses would come down, he would teach us the script, how to play the tunes, and to rebuild the harmonious action on earth. And what did we do while he was away? We made an orgy. We created the golden calf. We made an orgy. He was convening with God. And here on earth, we made a party with wine and women and all this. So we broke the tablets. We broke the manuscript. The manuscript was broken, and we got a new manuscript, which is what we have today, which is not the original manuscript. It is a default. That's the way I see it. It is an alternative according to the mentality of humanity, which is physically oriented. The story about the golden calf, it is what is a calf or an ox usually represents the human mind, and gold is the goal of life, to get as much gold as you can during your lifespan. And this is the purpose of humanity, to worship the earthly sphere. And what we received was hopefully to change this attitude. But it didn't work, unfortunately. Eventually, all this attempt was destroyed. When the two temples were destroyed, the Jewish people developed a very bad karma for themselves. All the prophets who came to negate this karma. The role of a prophet and his authority to destroy sanskaras. It could have changed the destiny of the people if they would listen to them. But they didn't, or only partially. They came to the advent of Jesus. His true name is Yehoshua. He was trying to according to various interpretations, to form one circle of 12 disciples. According to Rudolf Steiner, the seer, he was a seer, presumably he was a visionary, he was seeing things behind the veil. So he said that the 12 disciples were the 7 sons of Hannah, the 7 martyrs during the Greek persecutions against the Jewish people, 7 children who refused to accept to betray the Jewish faith, and the 5 brothers of the Maccabi who gave us the Hanukkah. So these 12 disciples of Jesus, Yeshua, were the finest people of humanity. And they were arguing as the disciples between themselves, who is higher on the plane. They were sitting living next to the Lord of the universe for a year or 3 years, and they didn't get the point. He didn't have time. To my understanding, to my humble understanding, that the karma of the humankind reached such a stage that if his avatar wouldn't interfere, humanity would be wiped out from the scene of things. We would go back, either we wouldn't be able to reincarnate, some say it, and he came to this conclusion, by the way, independently, that he did it in order to avert these disasters, so that we won't be able to continue to reincarnate and pay our debts and develop a new positive karma. So he kept the door open. And this, most of the humanity doesn't understand. They blame the Jews that we crucified Jesus, and Christianity is persecuting the Jews because of this, and the Muslims persecute the Jews because of other reasons, because we betrayed Moses and this and that. It's also in the Quran. There are pros and cons in the Quran and in Christianity for against the Jews. So the Jews became the scapegoat of all the troubles of the Western world. Of course, this is nonsense because most likely, most probably, the people who call themselves Jews have very little to do of the ancient Israelis, the children of Israel. These people, their souls who come to the reincarnate into the body of what we call Judaism, and they have to share this karma for whatever reason. But this, you need the vision to see behind the veil the movements of the souls. If we would see the movements of the souls, then we most likely would be realize there's nothing like bad Jewish karma. There's nothing to do with this, most likely.
Etzion,
Yes, ma'am.
can I ask you to go back? I was kind of half listening. You said that the 12 apostles, Jesus apostles, were the finest people. They were
Yes.
clearly top, but they did not recognize Jesus' avatar. Did you say that they did not recognize him as the avatar?
They lived next to a divine being. They acknowledge his divinity. There's no question about this, but they failed to understand the role of the spiritual circle. He was trying to teach them this. They didn't understand it, and they started to argue between themselves who is higher on the planes.
Oh, I see. Okay, I see.
And this was a story of Peter and it's an old story. They broke apart. They didn't understand. That's why he got crucified. Just in the evening of the crucifixion, according to the Gospels. Now, we don't have any evidence whatsoever about the authenticity of this Advent besides the 4 Gospels.
Right.
We don't have any archaeological find. There's nothing at all. about Jesus, and nothing about Muhammad as well. These are only legends. And the Gospels were written 50 years after the Advent.
Right, right.
So we don't know what is, and there are conflicts between the Gospels. They are not saying the same thing. There's all kinds of variations. So seers and mystics give explanation to the variations because they say each one saw something different from his own lens of perception. But we know that the great masters acknowledge, we know Baba says that Jesus was an avatar, as well as Abraham and Muhammad. If you see how the world of Islam behaves, I wouldn't accept that Muhammad was an avatar. If you will be willing to get into some of the problems with Islam, I think they made it up in order to control, instead of healing humanity. They got quiet from the start. The disciples, the mandali of Muhammad, started to kill each other. They were slashing the throats of each other. They developed a tremendous force. Muhammad succeeded to unite the Arabic tribes. And when he succeeded to unite them, there was an army of 50,000 men willing to do anything for God, willing to fight for God and die for God. 50,000 dedicated men, you can conquer the whole world, like Genghis Khan or Alexander the Great. They had 50,000 men, that's all. Good enough. So it was a tremendous dedicated force, but they were fighting, the Mandali were fighting most of the caliphs, the rulers, the kings of Islam in the beginning, almost all of them were murdered. It's unbelievable. Including the personal disciples of the Avatar. They were fighting with blades. Just imagine the Eruch and the Bauji would fighting in kosher quarters with swords. That's what they did.
Was Muhammad murdered?
Sorry?
Was Muhammad himself, was he murdered or I don't know?
They claim that the Jews poisoned him.
Oh,
As if we are missing troubles, we poisoned Muhammad. The story is that he slaughtered the Jewish tribe, and he took to himself one of the women, and this woman cooked him something, and she put poison in his food, and he died from this. This is Islamic law. This is most likely they made up all these things. They made up most of what you call in the tradition in the Quran. It was formed during the next 200 years, initial 200 years of Islam, through constant conflicts and wars between the parties. A lot of blood was shed on the initiation of Islam, and it didn't stop. This is a very big tragedy, and it inflicts. This is the reason why we have this war in Israel, because the Jews came here and said, we just want to buy a small piece of land, which is half percent of the Arabic territories. It's just a little dot on the map. And they refused to do it. I'm talking about 100 years ago, not talking about today. They say the occupation of Palestine. These are all lies. They don't believe all these Arabic stories. They cannot give any peace. They have to. I was reading now an important book about the initiation of Islam. It's in Hebrew, and I was sharing with the publisher, with the author, exchanging ideas with him. And I wrote a short article about the problem of Islam and Judaism. I should place it on my website. I sent it to various people. I made a short article trying to describe the problems, the pros and cons.
You sent it to me.
I mail it to you. Yes, I
Yeah,
mail it to you. If somebody
you
wants it, I can. Yeah. I think it's important to understand it. It's not in a negative sense. It is trying to bring some light to the confusion. Because we know that Muhammad was an avatar, which the Muslims don't know. They don't know that he was an avatar. They call him a prophet, not an avatar. And Baba says that this was his mistake. He didn't declare himself to be an avatar. And if in Islam, if a person declares himself to be a reincarnation of God, they put you to death, like El Halaj and
Right.
others.
right.
If you dare to say something about godhood, that God should we humans, our purpose was to create God on earth. If he would work together with harmony and coordination, this work is like the musical band. The musical band was supposed to create heaven on earth. This is what we were supposed to do. Since we are not doing it, we didn't do it, and we are not doing it now, or maybe very few small pockets here and there, the individuals who are working spiritually with harmony and discipline, like a musical band. They create energy, and because of this, the world continues, because the Godhead sees pockets of individuals here and there amidst humanity who are sincere and they're doing the work. For example, I can tell you from my experience, there are groups of Jews, Orthodox Jews in Israel, and they do spiritual works that we Babalawos don't even imagine it's possible. I touched here and there such groups because I came close to various people through my work. I was doing work for various people and I got to know something.
When you
But
say,
these groups, yes,
no, I'm sorry. You
Yes,
say
please.
we can't, you mean they are, uh, you say we can't imagine. You mean they are doing kind of heroic kind of efforts to, they're good. You're saying they're making
they're
truly
doing
spiritual.
spiritual work. They create spiritual, heavenly spiritual energy on earth.
Mm.
And they do it very silently, very quietly, in closed circles.
Mhm, mhm.
It's not possible for people just to open the door and get there. You need very long training to know how to deal with this, because it's not easy, and you have to study Jewish mysticism and Kabbalah, and they're doing all kinds of things which might be dangerous for the layman.
Do
But
they live? Do
sorry?
they live as monks and nuns? Do they live together as in monasteries or like
No, they're
monasteries?
getting no, I don't know. There are all kinds of
Okay.
religious groups, and they get together. Let's say they have they study in the shul or in the synagogue, or often at midnight, studying the Torah
Wow.
as groups. And during these studies, they create spiritual energies which help humanity.
Mhm.
This is
Okay.
my understanding.
Yeah.
And from some of my experience, I didn't get into this deeply, because I would need to become a religious Jew, which I have nothing against it, of course, but it's not my role. If Baba would tell me to become an Orthodox Jew, then he would see me as an Orthodox Jew. For example, this evening, we make a blessing for the Shabbos, and I still have the yarmulke on me. That's for every Friday. We make a Kabbalat Shabbat, as we call it.
Seder. Well, very nice.
We respect Judaism. We
So
like to make
I have one question, just a clarification. I never understood why the Jews were called the chosen people. since they suffered so much. Were they the chosen people in that they were initially given that spiritual responsibility, which they
Yes.
failed at?
Yes, yes.
Okay,
yes,
now I
yes.
understand it, and I thank you for
Yes,
that.
yeah,
I really
yeah.
thank you for that.
Chosen people, chosen to
To suffer.
receive the greatest opportunity of healing humankind.
Wow, that really, thank you for shedding that light.
Yeah, that's what that's why we are being called the chosen people, and we still have the opportunity. And what do you think? I live here, and it's difficult living here. And 2002, Bauji gave me a formal invitation to move to Mehrabad, which for me was a dream coming true. So the rest of our life spent, after all these strenuous years in living in Israel and the wars and the chaos and the fight for survival, we would spend a few nice decades, years living in this place which I love the most, and I was efficient and practical on the Judson team as a craftsman. This is what I do for living. I do woodwork and I know how to build houses, etc., etc. So I thought, but Baba decided I should stay here in Israel. That's because my dedication is not to be where I want to be, but what he wants me to be, whether I agree with it or not. If he wants it, then I changed my mind. I was hoping that I will stay in Mehrabad. Eventually, it worked out that we had to go back and stay in Israel. And he was doing it in a very clever way. He's very clever. There's no question about this, how he's guiding things. And what I can tell you is my understanding about, I was asking myself, what's this, why we need this headache of Israel in the very eye? This Israel is the eye of Islam. And Baba said, I have to find a place for Jewish people. Well, he cannot send us, people lived, Jewish people lived quite nicely in India, for example, in Cochin, in Pune. They had large, prosperous communities. They're doing very well in many parts of the world. Not everywhere they were being persecuted. They were not persecuted in the Ottoman Empire. The Ottoman Empire was considerably protective. Even many Arabic countries, Muslim countries, the Jews were persecuted or being treated as second-class citizens. Mutawakkil the Khalif is a king in Arabic of the 8th century, if I'm not wrong. He is the one who ordained that a Jew and a Christian must wear a special coat, yellow for the Jews and I think red for the Christians. So when you walk in the street, because 1,500 years ago, the people look the same. You couldn't tell a person who is walking in the street if he's a Muslim or non-Muslim. It was very important for them, the beginning of Islam, to make sure who adopted the faith and who didn't. So the Jews were obliged to wear a yellow coat. So they had a committee of scholars debating. And if the Jew doesn't have enough money to buy a yellow coat, then what to do? So he has to wear a yellow badge.
Oh,
So the yellow badge was not the invention of the Nazis, but of Islam.
interesting.
This is true. This is history. I'm not inventing anything. I'm not saying anything against. I'm just quoting. I'm bringing the facts which Islam says. You can read all this in any Islamic university about the attitude of Islam towards the nations. Everybody has to become Muslim or second-class citizen. So the reason I think this is my personal view. I was giving, of course, various insights from Baba. I told you during the 70s, especially, I had very close communion with him. And I got some hints and keys about the need and the role of Israel. And the fact that this country survives against all the odds is a miracle. It doesn't make sense, especially what happened recently. Country was taken by surprise, supposedly, and the people got corrupted. The army got corrupted or become lax. But I felt half a year before that we are going to get something hard on the head. A wake-up call, unfortunately. And there is a role, somebody told me in Mehrabad many years ago, I said it in one of the sessions. I met somebody in the old PC at that time. He was a son of a famous Baba family, I don't remember the name. And he told me that Baba said unofficially that the backbone of Islam must to be broken. Baba was aware of the problems of both Christianity and the Crusades and the persecutions against not only Jews, but the whole many nations and the abuse of nations, etc., etc., and what they did in the Americas. That's why he had to suffer his car accident in the United States to try to balance this terrible karma. Otherwise, the United States as a nation won't be able to continue living. The karma eventually has to fructify, has to come to fruition, and then we have to reap the harvest. So maybe he changed it or he did something. Long, difficult stories.
You said the big, I didn't, bulk of has to be broken. I didn't hear the word.
He told me, this person told me, the Baba said that the backbone of Islam must to be broken.
Oh, okay.
Backbone of Islam. Backbone of Islam must to be broken because it's not possible the avatar will give such a directive based on fear and coercion and violence. If you don't accept the tenets of Islam, you must be put to death. This is coming from the avatar. You read, I can read you the tenets of Islam, some of them, not everything, of course. There are many beautiful things in the Quran, in the Hadith. And it's not black and white, but various personalities in the next 200 years of Islam created this violent, war-based mechanism to control the world. They created a big army, and eventually their armies became very big. They took over India and the Far East, and they reached all the way to close to the gates of Vienna. They have to take over the whole world by force. This is Islam. This was allegedly, this is what Muhammad ordained. Baba didn't say much about this in this life, and nobody asked him. Today, I would ask him a few questions, and I think to clear if this is true or not. Baba, for example, according to the proud Islamic tradition, Muhammad raped women.
Oh, really?
Yes. Yes, he raped. According to Islam, he raped women. He's very proud of this. That's why during the war, you have the right to rape women. That's what they did.
But
They
here
have been
again,
doing. And Baba said, They didn't have he didn't have any act with women at all at that time of Muhammad. That's why he didn't have any children. He had 12 or 13 wives with no children. Where are all the children? If he did, he had the personal relations with them. Where are the children? Some of them had to give them children, but supposedly he had one daughter. So the whole thing is confusing. It doesn't make sense. And since I know in person that Meir Baba is a Lord of Love, is the highest of the high, I have the experience. And if he told me that, if he is telling us Muhammad, he was Muhammad, the same personality, the same Lord of Love, the whole thing doesn't make sense. It can't be what they are telling us. This Islamic history and the tradition is false. That's what it is. So we have a clash of the new Advent came to put things straight. And traditionally, each time a new Advent is coming, the old Advent goes insane. Because the people who are in charge, they feel the new energy came to the world, and they're afraid of it. Yes, Betty. You're calling me.
Yeah, I'm calling on my cell phone. My cell phone works. It came back. It just went out for a minute, but it shut everything down. So
You're still.
Yeah, I'll come back. I think maybe we should end the meeting though. I was gonna say it's about time. It's been about an hour and a half, and the
Yes.
next meeting is coming up in half an hour.
Okay.
So I'll just come back just if in case but I guess everybody we got all shut down. So
Okay. We still have two ladies with us.
that's right. But you don't. Do you have one?
Sorry?
No. I think everything got ended, right? It should have been ended.
Yes.
You don't have no, you don't. No. Okay, I'll get back on. We can at least close the meeting nicely.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Bye.
Betty called me on the cell phone.
Yeah, I think it's about it's about. I was going to ask if we could end it anyway from
Yes.
just for my.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I'll get back on. Okay.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye. Okay. She went away and she called me on the telephone to finish this meeting. But I think we touched a few important issues. Even we are only 3 now. Later on, between 50 to 100 people more will listen to it, to these.
The recordings,
The
yeah.
recordings, yeah.
the
Thank
more
you so
people-
much, Etzion. I hope you know how much you're appreciated. You are. Thank you
Yes,
for all you share.
I'm trying to offer something to the community. It's very important. We precious humanity community. We have a role to play. We have responsibility, and we have also a spiritual authority. We are the lovers of the highest divine being ever came to earth, and even the whole thing we do is to think about him helps humanity. This is my experience, my direct experience. We take his name, he looks like a cliche. It isn't, it's more.
No, it's very powerful. Absolutely.
It is, but taking his name is very powerful, very important that we'll think about this, and him, love him, learn to respect and love each other. It's very important we learn to live together without conflicts. There are problems between Babalav. I know because I'm in business for many years. I've seen all kinds of things and all kinds of issues, which maybe we will address in the future. Problems between of this community and how to overcome it, to my understanding. Okay, you want to wait for Betty? There's a new meeting is coming soon, understood.
Yeah. So we'll see you next Friday at 12:30. our
Yes.
time, Eastern time.
Yes, that's okay.
Jay Baba, thank you, dear.
Thank you, my dear.
Etzion, thank you so much. Wonderful. My other meeting got canceled, so I could come back.
Nice.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna sign off. See you in his love.
Do we have a meeting now with Yui McDonald?
It's the same meeting, but he doesn't attend while he's in India.
So what
The-
is a meeting which is going to be now?
It's the same group. It's just that Huey's not there.
I
We
see.
get together and stuff arises. It's very friendly and very positive, usually.
Okay,
It's a very loving gathering.
okay,
You're welcome. Anybody's welcome.
okay. So maybe I'll stay a little bit longer with you.
Yeah.
So you are starting in half an hour?
Yes. 2:30 our time.
Is this Southern California meeting?
San
Coming up?
Francisco, San
Oh,
Francisco.
San Francisco, Northern.
Okay. I'll be back then in half an hour.
Yeah. I have to go plug my computer in.
Okay, see you.
Ciao.
Hi, Cookie.
רגע. זרקתי את זה.
Hello. Hi, Babsy. Etzion. Okay. Yeah. So, wow. Hello. Okay, I'm going to